All right, so in this video, we want to look at parallel lines and perpendicular lines. First of all, what are parallel lines? Well, parallel lines are lines that do not intersect in the same plane. How do I mean? For instance, if I draw a line like this and I draw another line like this, as long as I continue to extend this line in this plane, they will never intersect. So these two lines are said to be what? Parallel to what? Each other. All right. And of course, there's a unique characteristics of parallel lines. For example, when two lines are parallel in the same plane, then the slope of the first line will be equal to the slope of the second line. So let's say the slope of the first line is m1 and the slope of the second line, right, is what? Is m2. So what we are saying is that for what? For parallel lines, right, m1 is equal to what? M2. Now parallel lines is not always horizontal. So let me give example of parallel lines in a coordinate plane so that we can understand. For instance, if I have a coordinate plane like this line and this line are parallel to each other. So it is not until they are horizontal. For example, if I have another coordinate plane like this, right? This line and this line are parallel, to each other, okay? Then if I have a coordinate plane, like this, all right? This line, right, and this line, right, are parallel to what? To each other. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that the slope of this first line, which is m1, this is what? M2, right, are equal. So this is m1, this is what? M2. Let's say this is m1, the slope, and let's say this is m2. So for parallel lines, lines in the same what? In the same plane, okay? M1 is equal to what? M2. So let's note that. That's very important. M1, this is M1. Let me rewrite it. That's M1 is equal to what? M2. So this is very, very important, okay? Now, let's now move on to the perpendicular lines. So for perpendicular lines, So when we say perpendicular lines, what do we mean? Right? Perpendicular lines are lines that intersect at right angle. Intersect at right angle implies that they form 90 degrees between each other. So for instance, if let's say in a coordinates plane, let me use coordinates plane. If I have a line like this and another line intersect it such that their point of intersection makes 90 degrees. All right, these lines are said to be what? Perpendicular to what? To each other. All right, now there is another one. If you have another coordinate plane, let me use straight line. In a coordinate plane like this, are you getting? If I have a line coming like this, another line goes to intersect it such that they intersect at 90 degrees. These two lines are said to be perpendicular. So let's call the slope of this one m1 and this one m2. Let's call the slope of this line m1 and the slope of this line what? m2. So there is one unique thing about perpendicular lines, which I am going to be writing now. So for perpendicular lines, m1 times m2 is equal to what? -1. That's the product of the slope of the two slope will be equal to -1. So this implies that we can say that what? M1 is equal to what? -1 over what? M2. And also we can say that what m2 is equal to what minus 1 over what m1. So that implies that if two lines are perpendicular to each other, once you know the slope of the first line, you can actually determine the slope of the second line. I want to believe this video has helped someone. Just kindly check the next video after this, for example, on problems that involves parallel and perpendicular line. See you in the next video. Thank you.